let's look at some tweets. We're gonna start with a Cameron. Where are the tweets? There they are.
Oh, there he is, cropped off to the side slightly.
Yeah, no, I was not.
It's fine. It works.
I was not careful. So I do have a mouse. I'm not sure why I didn't get the mouse out, but because I'm working with the trackpad, I was like, fuck it, I don't care.
That's entirely
Trackpad's
understandable.
trackpad is sketchy as fuck. So
It does its best.
yeah, he says, by the way, if you regularly engage in sinful behavior without any attempt to do better, you probably don't have a relationship with Jesus. I picked this one because I'm like, you know what? It's time we gave Cameron a win. This is correct. I do not have a relationship with Jesus, and I engage in behaviors that he considers sinful with no attempt to not do that anymore, which I guess me and him would disagree that that counts as doing better. But
But wait, there's another side to this that's kind of strange.
yeah,
So
it's Cameron. Of
if
course there is.
if you're a Christian, you accept that you're living in a fallen world, so you accept that you're always living in sin. You are constantly engaging in sinful behavior, specifically sinful behavior you cannot do better at. You literally live as
It's about the
sinful.
trying, though. As long as you recognize that you are a piece of shit and feel guilty about it,
Oh yeah,
then you are
you've got to
trying to
be
do better.
shameful constantly.
Remember, he's a Catholic now. Actually, so he walked back his public. I don't know if you saw this, but he walked back his public declaration that he's a Catholic.
Okay.
And I suspect that was for monetary reasons because he's still like when you see what he responds to and other stuff on Twitter is like he's still a Catholic. He's arguing with people about whether or not Mary had a penis inside her. That's a Catholic thing because the Protestants don't really care. They're just like Jesus had brothers and sisters. It's weird that you're hung up on this.
Yeah, like
And
with
if the Protestants are calling you weird because you're hung up on something, then you know
you know who else was hung up on something?
Mary.
I was gonna say Jesus.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
I guess
Different kind of hung up.
we had to cross that when we got there.
I got that one.
I don't know. I guess that it's like this tweet. You're technically right for people who are atheists. Like we don't care.
Yeah.
But even from like the Christian perspective, there's nothing about having a relationship with Jesus that has to do with you trying to be better about being sinful necessarily.
Well,
like,
there's
even
that
that's
verse about
technically
the
true.
fruits will bear it out or whatever.
Yeah, but it's so weird because I grew up in like technically non-denominational but truthfully Southern Baptist, and for there's all kinds of do not talk about works, only talk about salvation by faithisms.
Yeah.
So this is like there's a part of my brain from upbringing that's being scratched the wrong way by this.
Yep.
I don't know.
Karen Tuplin sent 20 Great British pounds, so like 2 cents nowadays, thanks to Brexit. Yay. No, I'm kidding. I appreciate it. So get yourself some more beer and the kids an ice cream. We're at an all-inclusive resort. I can have all the beer I want, and the kids can have all the ice cream they want. Two of my kids are grounded from ice cream today.
Oh?
Because they
whoa.
We set up a rule where we like no milkshakes or ice cream or desserts or whatever until at least after lunch. Wait until after lunch. Like I don't care. It's all inclusive. Go nuts, have fun, but like be a little bit responsible with it, please. A little bit. Wait till after lunch. So 10 o'clock rolls around. They come to me, say, "Hey, we're going for lunch." I'm like, "What do you mean you're going for lunch? It's 10 o'clock." Like, well, we're going for lunch.
Wait.
Like, it's 10 o'clock though. It's like, oh well, what's her face? My partner. I'm trying not to dox her.
Your partner, what's her face?
No. I'm trying not to dox. Heidi is her.
I was gonna
fake
say
name.
she's always Heidi in the chat.
Yeah, but she's got a real name that is not Heidi, and I have doxed her at least 3 times, and she's doxed herself like 5 or 6 times. So I'm trying not to do it again.
Who's doxed it anyway?
Yeah. So like I was like, okay, well, does she know that you're like going for lunch? She's like, yeah. Oh, and she's okay with you going for lunch this early? Yeah. So they went for lunch, And then they came back sucking on milkshakes because they had their lunch and it's 10 in the morning. And
Yeah.
she got there and what it turned out they had interpreted as it's okay for them both to go for lunch early was she wanted us all to go for lunch together. And one of them was like, "Can I go by myself?" And she said, "That's a Papa question." And they both took that
Those
as
sneaky
yes,
kids.
yes. So they were not allowed any more treats today. Um,
They
because
used it up already.
like I appreciate the attempt at sneakiness, but like come on. Like if you're gonna be sneaky, just go for the fucking ice cream. Like this is a secured location. Like we're in Mexico, but we're not really in Mexico. It's a secured building. Even the shuttle drivers that drive people back and forth to the airport have to go through a security check on the way into the compound that we're staying on. It's a secure building, so I'm not worried about my kids running around places. So we have not been keeping that close of an eye on them. They could easily just go get a milkshake without telling us about it, and it would be and we would be none the wiser. Like, so if you're going to be sneaky about it,
But
just do
instead they
that. Instead they're lying to me about about what she said they were allowed to do. So it's like I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
You're not mad about them trying to be sneaky. You're disappointed that when they tried, they didn't do a good enough job.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that being said, it would not surprise me if they were also being actually sneaky and doing this anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily disappointed. It's just that's what I expected. Okay, moving on. So we've got Culture Critic. This guy's been popping up in my feed a lot, and he posts some interesting stuff. But now I'm like, okay, he is now as a source, he is suspect, and anything he says, I'm gonna have to double check it now. Because before it's been like, oh, that's interesting, and it's just like it's been stuff that doesn't even matter. So like I haven't bothered fact checking it. But then he had a big long thread on the Shroud of Turin. I'm like, oh, I actually know a little bit about this. Let's see what the heck he's doing here. And so this was like in the middle of the thread somewhere. So
Okay.
like I'm not going through the whole thing. But he says, first, nobody has a clue how the image on the cloth was made. There's no pigment or dye present. It took me 2 seconds of Googling to find, because I'm like, I've heard that claim a bunch. I've never really looked into it. I just know that like it carbon dated to a time that was around the time when the knight who found it, and it was weaved using a pattern that existed around the time the knight who found it, but not previous to that. So it's like, okay, the knight who found it either faked it or bought it from someone who had faked it. It's like, okay, that seems like a pretty open and closed case. So I never even bothered to look into this, like, oh, nobody knows how the image was made bullshit. But then this guy, who I have always kind of seen as like, having the bust of a Greek statue or whatever as a profile picture, that's usually a red flag. That is a right wing nut job. But this person seems to not be that. He's just posting interesting things. It's like, okay, I can deal with that. But then we get to this and it's like, oh, no pigment or dye present in the fibers. I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to look this up. 2 seconds of Googling. It was like red ochre with gelatin was the dye that was used for most of it. But then it was also dyed with vermilion. So it's like,
we know the exact things.
We know the exact things that were used to dye the thing. There is no mystery about how was this image created. Somebody painted it, is how it was created.
Yeah, we know the things. Jesus
so
Christ.
It's like, yeah, that's who is supposedly there. And then like later on in the thread, I should have gotten a screenshot of this as well, but he was like saying that like, oh well, this is evidence that the paintings we have of Jesus' face from like hundreds of years before the shroud was found were actually like authentic, because the paintings match what the shroud showed. It's like, or the guy who faked the shroud faked it in such a way that he looked like people expected Jesus to look, because nobody would buy it if it was what an actual Middle Eastern man from that time period looked like.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was just a whole bunch of like just credulity at every claim about the shroud, which all of them are so easily disproved. But I guess this was with regards to like there was a new X-ray study done with, well, they say new, but I didn't actually look into the X-ray study, but apparently it's a few years old at least, and they didn't really find anything dating wise, but like there was one thing that they found that has been blown up to it has now been confirmed to be 2000 years old. Like everything else about it says that it's from the 1300s, but we found one thing that maybe says it's 2000 years old, and I haven't actually looked into it, but I guarantee it's a nothing burger because everything else with the shroud has always been a nothing burger. Every time there's been something
Every
like
time.
they say that they can't explain this, so I will Google it, and you're like, oh yeah, first result, that's the explanation for that, and it's something that is it matches with it being from the 1300s.
It's always they always have to spin it, basically. Like if you it's like how you know those like really bad pop science articles where they don't really know what a study said, but they kind of glanced at the abstract, and so it'll be
Mm,
like, "This means
I
aliens
am
fucked rabbits on in a spaceship," and you're like, "That's not
so
what that said."
I think it's my Matt Powell video that's coming out this Friday. If not, it's the
Hmm.
one before that, where he gets into that. Um, Matt Powell, Matt Powell aficionados will remember the Tech Times article that he said was his trump card in the Science Falsely So Called movie.
Yeah.
Um, so that was Tech Times had misunderstood one sentence of a paper, and they were like, okay, all the animals were came into existence 1 to 200,000 years ago at about the same time. And of course, Matt Powell took that and was like, see, 90% of animals were created together simultaneously.
Well, 90% of animals means that it wasn't like how the Bible described it, which
Yeah,
was
that was
in 2 days.
that was my first thing was that 90% is quite a bit less than 100%. Like
Yep.
that's not all the percents. And you are saying that all the percents of animals were created together. But no. But he took that from his trump card, and I'm just gonna fucking take credit for this. Because like I don't take credit for much, but I know for a fact that Matt watches my videos,
Yeah.
and I have seen him adjust his arguments ever so slightly based on what I've like the age of grass being one of them. So like in one of his videos he talked about what's it called, behemoth eating grass like an ox. Well, he showed B-roll clip of a sauropod dinosaur eating not grass, and I made fun of him for that. And on top of that, I was like, because it was just a joke, I didn't really do in-depth research into it. So I was like, okay, and grass didn't even evolve until like 10 million years after dinosaurs went extinct. But I missed that. Like I went with an old source, and the newer sources they found dinosaur poop with grass in it. So like, yes, grass did evolve before then. And Matt Powell
Hmm.
took that as like the one time he was right and I was wrong, and that is now something that he like hammers on every time it comes up.
So wait, I'm guessing he'd just be like, "No, you're not right all the time, and I can prove it. Like that one time this happened."
Yeah, basically. Um,
Just
and
to
so
that reminds me, never if you're like a competitive player in any game, the number one thing a coach will always tell you is never hold on to your victories. Never,
yeah,
ever, ever hold on to your victories.
Matt does that. Yeah, so I'm going to take credit for this for Matt. So there was also like because I completely eviscerated him with the Tech Times thing, it went from being his trump card to now he's looking at a news article that misunderstood the Tech Times news article that misunderstood the study, and so now we're like 4 steps removed in the telephone game, but it still goes back to the Tech Times study, which opens with the 2 lines about how like no, we actually our findings support evolution, and we used evolution to find these findings. And like, no, you guys are idiots for saying that we suggested Adam and Eve from this study, which that's what he gets to now because it's a different claim. But like this time, instead of it being his trump card, he like brushes past it in like one sentence.
Yeah,
So I'm
that
taking
sounds
credit for
about
that,
all.
even though this is less explicit than the grass thing. I'm still taking credit for this because I know he watches my shit and he's afraid of me because he challenged me to a debate and then he deleted the challenge as soon as people started noticing it. So yeah, you know what? He's a horrible human being, and I have a clip of him calling for the death penalty for LGBTQ people, um, which I guess includes me now, doesn't it?
I
Wow,
guess so.
that actually hits differently.
If you'll
Like,
suck guy dick, then welcome to their
hmm.
community. I guess you're here. I've been told I'm part of it as well, though I don't necessarily agree. Eh,
So yeah, no, we're new processing for
he
me here
wants you to die.
because that hits differently. Like I have LGBTQ friends, and I know that
Yep.
he wants them dead, but now think
But
like,
now
oh,
he
he
wants
he
you
wants
dead.
me dead, and
Yes.
like I know it's not like
Steven Anderson
it's not
also wants you
it's not
dead.
a big degree of difference, but it's just like, oh
It's different when it's personal.
yeah,
So like when somebody aims a gun at your friend, there's a type of fear and a type of rage that you
mm.
experience. When somebody aims a gun at you, there's an entirely different type of fear and rage you experience.
I was about to say that's a good analogy, but like that's not even an analogy in this case. He literally wants
That's
that.
exactly what it is.
um, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna need to process this before I talk about it more. So let's move on.
Yeah. There you
Okay.
go.
Gunter Eagleman, not Engelman. Engelman
I've
would
been
make
seeing
sense with
this
the
guy
first.
pop. I've been seeing this guy pop up everywhere lately.
I just love this one though. He says prediction: Kamala Harris will be out of politics making Doug sandwiches on November. I assume Doug is Kamala's husband. Either that or that's a really weird type
But
of sandwich.
why
She's
would she
making
be
sandwiches out of a
she's
guy named
making
Doug.
I don't understand that because this is a woman whose entire career
Okay, no,
has
sir.
been
It's even stupider than that, sir. Sirs, it's stupider than that. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what happens on November 6th. If Trump wins, she's still the vice president until
Yeah,
January
until
20th.
inauguration. Yeah.
So he's wrong no matter what.
It's stupid on multiple levels, but one of the levels it's stupid on is that her entire career has been a political career with an upward trajectory. She's just going to go find another thing to do in politics. She's a very capable
Hmm.
woman.
Absolutely. Like, she has been the most active vice president in American history. Did you know that?
That I did not know.
I mean, that's just a matter of the function of the office, because the reason she's been the most active is because she's cast the most she's cast the most tie-breaking votes. But that's because uh, it's a number of things. It's because the Republicans have become so partisan that they're unwilling to vote for anything proposed by a Democrat, no matter what. So a lot of things come down to a exact 50-50 in the Senate. But the only reason it could come down to an exact 50-50 was because of Mansion Cinema for a while. So because of
Hmm.
that whole dynamic, so it's kind of a happenstance sort of thing more than a
She
thing that
happens to
she
be
should
more
brag
active
about.
because we've got a bunch of dinos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Well, also as long as we're talking about Kamala, though, let's get into her record as a prosecutor, because I think I did her dirty last time when I talked about how like, oh, she ran things in a way that like was bad for people of color, and she like ignored stuff in this case that ignored evidence. Like there was a Brady violation where they didn't turn over evidence that one of the investigators or one of the forensic analysts or something was stealing drugs from the lab, and that led to like 600 cases being overturned.
Hmm.
Um, so that was when she was so the drug thing. That was when she was district attorney. That wasn't her case. That was one of her subordinates' cases.
Oh, so she wasn't
So
even the one directly
yes,
presiding.
yes, it was a Brady violation, and it's her office, but it wasn't like she probably wasn't even aware that it was going on. Also, like people call her a cop because she kind of embraced that in her
But
2020 run,
she's
but
never actually been a
she
police
never was
officer.
actually a police officer. So she's not a cop. Um, and then there was something else, like there was another scandal when she was AG, but it was another thing that it was like the DA thing where it's like one of her subordinates did something that she was not necessarily aware of. And like even like the worst it could have been for her is like, yeah, she probably should have stopped this guy earlier, but it was like I forget exactly what it was, but like pretty much everything that the liberals have like that the liberals would concern um, would say against her is not actually as bad as it sounds at first brush.
So it's spin. We are once
Yeah,
again at spin.
she has consistently been pro marijuana legalization.
Okay.
She has consistently been anti-death penalty to the point where when she was elected AG in her campaign, she said, "I will never recommend the death penalty." One like very early in her career after being elected AG, there was a very high-profile killing of a cop. It was a cop killer thing, so naturally the police union and all the cops and the dead cop's family were all pushing for the death penalty, and she stuck to her guns and said, "No, I am not going to ask for the death penalty." So she
Okay.
like, and that was potentially very politically costly. So she was sticking to her ethical compass, where like she is anti-death penalty, and no, I am not going to recommend the death penalty, even though I am seeing pressure from all sides to recommend the death penalty in this case.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I think my little bit of pessimism at the beginning was like that was just me repeating talking points that I hadn't really looked into.
So it
Um,
so it's less that she's a cop and more that she's just been involved in the justice system at
yes,
all.
yeah, she's a
Okay.
prosecutor. She is a prosecutor, and yeah, the whole prosecutorial system needs reform, but it is a job that exists, and some people have had, and she's been about as progressive as it's possible to be while being a prosecutor. Her congressional record for her time in Congress, she was the most progressive member of Congress the entire time she was in it. She
Okay.
like she beat out Bernie Sanders for being progressive. So I'm
I
coming
mean,
around.
that's a
I've
that's a
I have
that's
I
a
have
good
gone
set.
from tepid. Yeah, she's probably the best candidate just because she is the vice president and that's the one that
Yeah.
the
She's the
Democrats
one
have
in the
gone.
position that
Like
makes the
I've
most
gone from
sense.
that to actually being a little bit excited for a Harris presidency.
Okay.
Like I was excited because like she seems like she would be better than Trump for sure, and she would be way better than Biden for sure. But like I've gone from just like that to like she might actually be progressive, like not just acting progressive for the votes, but like she
Because she's in
has
the
been
Democratic Party.
consistently progressive even for a Democrat. So like
Yeah.
I'm getting more excited about potential Harris presidency.
No, that's fair. I'm glad to hear that. I know that it's going to affect your vote so much.
Yeah, my
Um,
my Canadian vote. There's an episode of Opening Arguments that goes into like they actually do a deep dive onto her history as a prosecutor. So
hmm,
I highly recommend that
okay. I'll have to
if
watch that at some point because that sounds so I am less knowledgeable about the broad strokes of Harris's rise to political power. Or less knowledgeable about the specifics rather. I know the broad strokes, the actual like trajectory that she took to get where she is, but I do not know about the specifics. So that would actually be a good way for me to figure that out.
yeah, like I mean she did botch her campaign and like she botched it pretty hard last time. But it seems like that's not happening this time. So yeah, I'm actually kind of excited for Kamala.
Okay,
All right,
fair
moving on.
enough.
Oh, so this is just do you recognize this, Suris?
That's a social blade. That's a
Yeah,
social blade
yeah.
thing.
Do you know whose social blade that is? Can you guess?
Trump?
Have nope. This So that's the number of tweets sent. So the negatives mean that whoever this is deleting tweets.
Deleting tweets. Okay.
That's J.K. Rowling.
Oh, the gag order!
Yeah. Oh, her lawyer should have told her not to do that because, like, that is bad.
No.
Like, you don't destroy evidence. No.
The internet. Oh no, the archives are gonna have all that anyway.
She's way too, like, everybody fucking has screenshots of all these tweets that she's deleting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And we know that she is named in a lawsuit currently from Paris. So, oh boy, the best thing to come out from this, I'm not gonna lie, the best thing to come out from this is that she has shut the fuck up for 2 weeks.
Oh,
and it's great.
Twitter has actually, like, noticeably improved in the 2 weeks that she's been quiet.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it makes me so happy because screw her, except don't.
Fennec the Rabbit says, I want Legal Eagle to look at this so bad. I would love for Legal Eagle to. I mean, I don't know that he would, because this is, like, it's international law. Like, she's being sued in France as a resident of the UK, so, like, the American lawyer might not have the best insight. But yeah, it made me happy when, like, somebody posted that, and I was like, okay, I have to verify that. This is my screenshot. This is not that other person's screenshot. Yeah, it's pretty great. Okay, JB thinking says,
this picture.
Yeah, I know. He says this. So this is conspiracy stuff. This photo right here disturbs me the most. The complete lack of protocol, the looks on these agents' faces, two looking straight at the camera, the no blood on the cuffs or hand, the upside down flag, hell, even the sky color looks fake. Wonder the names of these agents, their backgrounds, and what. Okay, whatever. He's saying all those reasons are why it's staged. The
tinfoil is so hard right now.
So the flag is upside down because it was actually, like, it's a horizontal flag, like it was flying horizontally, right, or whatever.
Like,
and
so
over. Yeah, so it's just like a camera angle thing. The two agents looking directly at the camera.
Like, you can also see that it's not attached to a pole the way that you would have to have a upside down flag attached.
Yeah. For the two agents that are looking directly at the camera, one of them doesn't even look like he's looking directly in the camera. The other one does, but, like, with those sunglasses, how do you fucking know where they're even looking? You don't.
Yeah.
You can't see their eyeballs. So no, you don't know that. And, like, the breach of protocol, like, when has Trump ever cared about fucking protocol?
This is the dude who immediately went to go find his shoes.
But on top of that,
oh well.
So Morbid Palace cheered 50 bits, and doesn't look like there was a message with that. But yeah, on top of this, like, yeah, breach of protocol. This is some serious Monday night quarterbacking shit. Like, how do you, like, what would you do in a situation where you have been shot at and you're a public speaker in the running to be president of the United States? What would you do in that moment? What would go through your head? What would you don't know.
Bullet.
You don't. Yeah, my point is, you don't fucking know unless you're in that situation. I have been in life or death situations that I've handled with varying levels of what you should have done-ness, whatever. Sometimes I reacted in the way that, like, yeah, that actually probably saved my life, the way I reacted. Other times I reacted in a way that was like, holy fuck, I'm lucky to still be alive after that stupid shit I did. Because you don't
realize that
you don't fucking know. You don't know when you're in the moment. You're just running on adrenaline, and you just do the thing that you do. You don't know why. Like, when I first learned how to drive, I had a moment where I started turning left through traffic, and then I realized after I started turning that there was a car coming that, like, did not really have enough, like, I was going to get hit if I turned normally. So the appropriate thing to do would be just, like, stop. My teenage just learned how to drive brain was like, fuck, I got to get through that intersection really quick. So I, like, floored it.
Yep.
And I ended up going over the curb, over the grass, in between two fucking poles of something, like the traffic light on one side and like a sign post on the other side. Like either one I could have hit and it would have been really, really bad. And like, but I like made it directly through them. I didn't fucking know they were there. That was pure luck. And my mother was like, "Oh, you steered that really well to avoid those two things," because she, I just learned how to
And
drive.
you're just like,
She
no,
legally
I
had to be
just
there with me. No, I didn't tell her that. I didn't know. You're like, yeah, no, I absolutely aimed for that really good space there. But like, that was a really fucking stupid thing to do. But
that's
like,
this.
that's what happens when you're in those situations. You don't fucking. And so like Trump, he's been trained for years and years and years and years and years. You do the thing that looks good for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing that his whole life. You do the thing that looks good for the camera.
And he did. I hate to
And
say
he
it. He did the
did the
right
thing
thing for
that
the
looks
camera.
good for the camera. That is a fucking awesome picture. If you're a Trump fan, that's such
Yeah,
a powerful picture.
And it is important to recognize that, because if you can't recognize that, then you can't get into the heads of the people you're trying to convince.
That is just as powerful a picture as the guy with the Confederate flag in the Capitol.
Yeah.
It is. They're like, if you're denying that, you're just in denial.
Yeah, you don't like you're letting your bias of not liking these people get in the way of that objective like analysis.
Yeah. And like the idea that like, oh, well, they broke protocol to do that. It was a life and death situation. Protocol is going to get broken. Especially like we're talking about Trump. When has he given two hoots about protocol?
Never and a half.
Yeah.
Never and a half.
So like, yeah, no, this whole conspiracy, it doesn't matter which side it's coming from. It's a conspiracy thing. It's like, no, it was a guy with a gun, and all evidence points to him just being someone that just wanted to make a name for themselves.
Yeah. Occam's razor is a really, really cool tool that we should use more often. Cut as many assumptions as you can out of an argument and look at what you have left.
Yeah. All right. Next up, got Joey. So
again,
don't react to the first bit, because who fucking cares about that? It's the last.
Why would I not care about everything that a black woman says?
So he says, if I earn 150,000 in gains from a cryptocurrency, why should I have to pay part of that to the government? Because you do. But then he says, does anyone realize how this is rape?
How is? Huh?
No, that is not
what?
rape. That is not rape.
I would like to insert my hands into your crypto wallet, sir.
That is tax. That is not
tax is not
very
rape.
Personal violation of the most violent nature.
Like, if we wanted to be completely callous, taxes gets you roads, rape gets you trauma. There's a difference.
A huge difference.
Like, in terms of, one of these takes a little bit of what you earned in order so that you can have certain things in society that you basically you always take advantage of, but you also always take for granted. Nothing productive comes from rape.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing productive comes from rape.
Correct.
And if somebody wants to go, well, there was a kid who was bit. Shut the fuck up. You're wrong. And maybe quit talking. Yeah. Stop.
So I live in Canada. If I pay taxes on $150,000 in capital gains, then those taxes that I paid, literally a portion of that goes to like saving people's lives that couldn't afford medical care. That's not rape.
No,
saving people's lives is not even remotely equivalent to that.
Again, I don't understand how he, as a noted black woman, would have said this.
Dream 10 says taxes have progressed from theft to rape. How long before taxes are necrobestiality?
I mean, they tried to make that argument for gay marriage once upon a time.
Yeah.
Saying that, what gay marriage happens, what happens next if you want to fuck your dead dog? Like, what? How? How did we get to that?
Yeah, you know what? I've sucked a human dick. I have no desire to do that for a dog.
Nope, not at all.
No,
Not at all.
not even a little bit. There is no
Just
slippery slope there.
if anybody is wondering why I'm constantly saying he as a
Hulu?
black woman, just so y'all know, Joey. One of the
Yeah.
things that made
Okay.
Joey famous on the internet was posing as a black woman by saying, I am a true black American woman, and I've been black my whole life. I was born black, and I'll die black. My mommy was black. My daddy was black. I will never cast a ballot for that Kamala Harris woman as long as I live. Trump all the way, all day, every day.
But he forgot to log into his sock.
But he forgot to log into the sock account. Just
So
so y'all know.
yeah, no, that was not just using black woman as an insult generically. That was a specific.
No, that was a thing he did.
Yeah. Rosina sent $2. Says, "Is Joey a real person?" I'm inclined to think yes, because I follow Joey, and the amount of stupid shit he posts that is not engagement bait kind of makes me believe that he's like it. He's a if he's not a real person, he's better at being a real person than Nick Adams, who is verifiably a real person, despite the fact that I no longer pull tweets of his because it's so obviously not real.
Yeah.
So
Sarah Chikorita says, how many people have got caught doing this so far? A lot.
lots.
There's
Yeah.
a lot.
There's probably a whole subreddit dedicated to it. Joey again says, if Kamala had the black vote locked up, she wouldn't be pulling out so many black artists. She's trying to recreate the BET Awards here. I'd just like to point out
BET Awards.
BET Awards. Are you not supposed to say BET?
Well,
I don't
know
know
because it's
okay.
It's an abbreviation for an actual
Yeah.
television channel.
So
They always call themselves the BET.
okay.
As far as I remember.
Okay. I don't know. In my defense here, I don't watch any awards shows or any TV, so I don't know any of the networks or how they pronounce their things. So
That's fair. It was like one channel off from, I think it was Comedy Central when I was growing up, so
sure.
I flicked past it all the time.
But yeah, anyways, my main thing here is that so the right actively tries to get celebrities to their shit, and they end up with people like Kid Rock, who is irrelevant at best. Whereas,
but he has a concert for dozens of people.
But on the left, it's artists who are actually excited for this, and one of the things that I've been hearing is that the music at the DNC is just so much better than the Republican stuff because artists are actually comfortable letting the DNC use their music.
Because they know that most of the time the DNC is not going to end up advocating for a policy that's going to disenfranchise their fucking audiences.
Yeah. So
they're not going to have to worry about their human rights getting violated. It's weird, right?
Yeah, so maybe it's not that she is pulling out black artists, it's that black artists are excited for Kamala. Just saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Hulk Hogan. I forgot about Hulk Hogan.
Also,
it's I need you to fuck me in that pussy, brother.
Brother. I need you to grab this handlebar mustache, brother.
Oh, if you don't get those jokes, please watch last week's streams. I promise this makes sense, sort of. I mean, not really, but a little bit. There's fan art. Oh, God.
Come on, brother. I'll help you find the clip, brother.
Oh, yeah. Trump used the Titanic music. I forgot about that. So Celine Dion, he used My Heart Will Go On. And Celine Dion put out a statement being like, we need him to stop using my music. He doesn't have permission for that. But also, that song? You're using the song for a sinking ship for your fucking campaign? What?
Yeah.
It's the analogy is too easy here, but please stop. But I just love that the official press release asking Trump to stop ended with, and really, that song? That's not even a paraphrase. That's the literal words. It was great. Okay, here we go. Mike Winger. This is a bad guy fight.
Oh boy.
I pulled this because Mike Winger is on record as saying that he practices Christianity the same way that Jesus did it. He does the same Christianity that they did in the first century. So I thought this was hilarious because he says Mormons often think I'm being mean when I say that Mormonism and Christianity are incompatible, but Mormons said it first. Blah blah blah. Mormons saying that Catholics and Protestants are evil, but like
Okay.
notice that they said Catholics and Protestants, not Christians, because they consider themselves to be the true Christians. So Christianity and Mormonism are really how it's supposed to be. And then a Mormon responded with a more accurate depiction of our belief that we adhere to actual Christianity that was taught in the first and second century. True New Testament Christianity is compatible because we are the restored New Testament church. You can gate Christianity all you want, but I follow Christ, not the creeds. So I just thought this was beautiful because Mike is a person who says, I follow Christianity as it was in the first century. And then a Mormon responds to him being like, no, we are true Christians because you don't follow Christianity as it was in the first century. We do. And I'm just sitting back here eating my popcorn. Bad guy fight. Bad guy fight.
You're just. This is the. I think it was. I want to say this was a Matt Dillahunty observation a long time ago, where some of the most fascinating debates to watch are ones between two Christians where they come on two completely opposite ends of like a social issue where they're using the Bible to support it, whether it be women preachers, gay marriage, anything involving gay people, honestly, or like taxation, like all of these things. You'll get Christians on both sides arguing using the Bible to come to two different conclusions.
Because the Bible is ultimately not a very useful book.
It's like freaking Joel Webbin going, my position is the Christian position. What the fuck does that mean, Joel? What does it mean? I don't know what that means.
There are 45,000 denominations. You got to tell me which one you're associating with.
Which of the 44, I mean 47, I mean 49, I mean 51 books are we using?
I literally, no, 66 books, Suris. 66 is the most common. 66 is the most common Protestant Bible. I think the Catholics have
5 more for the Catholic Bible, I believe, right?
Yes, it'd be 71. And then I think the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible is 81.
Oh, well.
So Rosina Keller said the estate of Isaac Hayes, noted Scientologist, is also suing Trump for unlicensed music use. Doesn't surprise me. And Dark Falcon is a member for 3 months, he's basic. Your pH is 14.
73 for the Catholic Bible, actually. I was wrong.
Christians, we try to gatekeep each other and fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's Secular Scholar says, I follow Austin 316. I just whooped your ass. So fun fact about Austin 316, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I never watched wrestling as a kid. I always looked at it and was like, I can clearly see they are not hitting each other, so this is fake as fuck. And it's just a bunch of dudes rolling around in Speedos. I'm not interested in this. So, sexuality-wise, yeah, no, I'm attracted to women, not dudes in Speedos, so got it. But, yeah, no, that doesn't mean I won't get down and dirty with Austin 316. But, yeah, no, the first time I heard of Stone Cold Steve Austin was in grade 6. I just transferred schools, and the other kid named Justin leaned over to me and was like, do you know Austin 316? And I was like, and no, I didn't know because I didn't watch wrestling. So I was like, I don't know, is that a band or something? And so that interaction firmly enshrined me as one of the not cool kids for the entire time I was at that school because
because you didn't watch wrestling.
Because I didn't watch wrestling, so they were like, this idiot thought that Austin 316 was a band. Oh, what an idiot.
God, I remember
middle school was so weird.
When I was growing up in elementary school, I tried to like wrestling because I had one friend who was really into it and had a bunch of like the figurines from back when it was WWF still. And
Mhm.
a bunch of my other friends had like the N64 games and stuff. I liked playing the video games for it because they were fun
Yeah.
and they had character
Yeah.
creators
I
that
was
were
about
really
to
in
say
depth.
well, I don't care
Like
about the character creators, but yeah, the video game was fun.
I cared about the character creators because back then that was a rarity. Like we didn't have games back then didn't really have the scope for a character creator. That was
So
usually not something that could be fit into that cartridge.
to be fair, I actually kind of despise character creators in general. I just want to play the game. I don't want to create a character. Just like give me
That's
a
fair.
character and I will play.
That's entirely fair. It was for me it was the first time that I'd ever played a fighting game because the wrestling games are basically fighting games with
Yeah.
different rules.
Yeah.
It was the first time that I ever played a fighting game that had a character creator before like Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur would end up getting character creators as well. And for all of the games, it's a separate thing you can do if you choose to, but you never have to.
Yeah.
But like I tried really hard to like wrestling when I was a kid, but as an adult, I can't remember anything at all. Like I remember that I liked Goldberg for a time, and I don't know why I did. I remember all of my friends like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock for obvious reasons. Steve Austin was literally the person who was showrunner at the time. He was the John Cena of the Attitude Era. Like
I
I
didn't
get
know
all
that.
that.
I didn't know. I don't get all. This is the first time hearing about that, even as an adult that know. Like the only thing I know about Stone Cold Steve Austin today is that it's fun to make jokes about the geologist from Answers in Genesis who is also named Steve Austin.
No, the like yeah,
Because
because I
like
know
he
that
studies rocks, he studies stones, he studies cold stones.
oh
So
my
he's Stone
God.
Cold Steve Austin. So I make jokes about it, and then
No,
nobody gets the jokes because apparently Steve Austin is old news.
well, yeah, because he's not part of the lineup anymore.
I know, but
Like wrestling has eras, and we left the Attitude Era a long time ago, and that's the era that he was part of.
I didn't know that he was part of that era. I just know that it's funny that there's a geologist named Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And like I so like wrestling is one of those things that I want to get into, I want to like, but I never can. And it just as a fun thing, the video game that I'm voicing in, one of the people associated with the video game is Drew Gulak, who was one of the wrestlers for WWE. In the last couple of years, his contract ran out, but he's associated with the game too. And like my director, now that I'm not under NDA and I can talk about things now, my director was like, "Hey, we could get you and Drew talking about something," and I'm like, "That's cool. What would we talk about?" I I have no idea what we would talk about. I
Is he at least an atheist?
like I don't. If whether or not he is, it's probably not a good idea for that to be the conversation
Yeah.
where he's concerned because I
And
don't
today on
know
Twit
where
Tweets
things
we
are.
have today on Twit Tweets we have a person who got hit in the head a bunch for a living.
But I don't know enough about wrestling, but I know that people who do know enough about wrestling are like really, really enthusiastic about it.
Okay.
I wish I
Your
could care.
your audio is being really funky on my end. I don't know if that's going to the stream or not. I'm gonna blame the hotel again. Um,
Fair.
but yeah, next tweet. Oh yeah. Trump train. Apparently Trump went into a crowd to like talk to someone who had fainted from heat exhaustion or whatever. And so this person says, "Wow, President Trump just paused his rally in North Carolina and went down to make sure one of his supporters who fainted was doing okay. You can't manufacture love like this. This is
Isn't that the
literally
same thing that Tim did?
it's literally manufactured because Trump has been campaigning for conservatively 8 years now.
Hmm.
Not once has he ever gone down to like make sure someone's okay. And he's had rallies where people faint, where he would see them faint
He's had
and shit like
rallies
that.
where people have died.
Yeah, yeah. And not once has he shown the slightest bit of empathy for any of them until Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, both of them, paused rallies as well. No, it might have not been Kamala. It might have been someone else that happened. Like
I've only
there have
seen
been
the Tim
several
Walz one.
prominent Democrats. Tim Walz was definitely one of them. Kamala, I'm not sure. But like there have been several prominent Democrats who have paused their rallies when they've noticed someone in the crowd that needs this. They've actually like pointed them out and been like, hey, we need medics over here right now. So like they've actually directed the medics from the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until they started doing that, they're like, oh, now Trump, when he sees someone fainting, and like honestly, he probably didn't see it. He probably had someone in his earpiece being like, hey, we got a great opportunity
really
here.
Good if you did
we
this.
got a great opportunity here. Someone's almost dying. You need to go say hi to them.
Yeah.
And so he did, because what we were talking about earlier, he knows what the picture looks like. He knows how to take a good picture. He knows what the snapshot's going to look like. So he knows, like, oh, this, like, the Democrats, it was really popular when they did this. So now I am going to do this. So this is literally him manufacturing love like this.
Yep.
So yes, you can. He
He
didn't do it until he saw that it would be a popular move.
And then as soon as it was a popular move,
immediately he does it.
Ugh.
Okay. And that was the end of it.
Oh boy, we're back to Cameron. Yay, it's like we're back home.
No, we're done. So
you're not back home.
No, I am in my big comfortable bed after being in my big comfortable tub. So yeah. Rosina sent $2, says Trump has directed supporters to attack protesters. Yeah, that's true. Trump has actively told people, like, hey, if you see someone who does this, beat them up. I'll pay your legal bills. And
so you
that's
have
good
enough
timing
money
because
to pay legal bills now?
I think I hear children coming too, so that was actually good timing.
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
I also
being on today.
My end credits I also forgot at home. I didn't pack my end credits or my countdown. I know it seems weird that I didn't pack video files. But
you don't just clone them onto a Google Drive?
Well, no, so that's like my background and shit is all just like Stream Element stuff that I can just copy onto my laptop. But my patrons are actually not. We'll see. I might do the podcast for them. I'd have to record a new intro, but like I forgot there was an ad. There's an ad in this coming Friday's video, so I rushed to get it done so I could get them approved before I left for Mexico because I'm like I don't want to like edit an ad while I'm on vacation.
That's fair.
And but in my rushing to do that, I forgot to upload the Patreon versions, and I didn't copy over the final. This doesn't have the ad version for the patrons, and so like it's easy enough to just like re-download it from YouTube and cut the ad out. But then for the podcast, yeah, okay. Again, it's easy to just rip audio and upload it as a podcast. But I also like there's the intro that I just drag and drop onto it for patrons. And I know as someone who listens to a lot of podcasts, it really, really bothers me when people change their normal intro because I have my podcast player set up to skip their intro. So if they change it, now I have to go back to see what I missed or go forward because I'm in the middle of an intro or whatever. So like I'm indecisive about that. Like, do I record a new thing where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on vacation right now, so sorry about the change or whatever, but here's the podcast. It's like, honestly, that would take me no time to do it, and I could absolutely do it. But like, as a podcast consumer, that would bother me. I would rather just wait a week for the actual podcast where I don't have to like fiddle with the thing. But this is another thing that if my partner ever sees this video, she's going to be like, yeah, no, I told you you're autistic. Because most people, that's probably not a thing that would bother them. They can just hit the back 30 seconds or forward 30 seconds button, and it's fine. So I don't know. I might do it. I might not. We'll see. They'll get a video for sure.
Well,
Mark Fernhoff is saying first world problems. Yes, I know. I know it's not really a problem.
At least you have enough of your stuff here that you are able to stream. Like that's the important part is you have enough of it, even if you don't have the full package.
You have no idea how much it bothers me that we don't have our little borders around us.
I just noticed we don't have our borders.
See, I told you have no idea. It has
God,
fucking it's just driving me nuts all fucking night. When I was setting it up, I'm like, fuck, it's like that's 2 kilobyte file. I could have just copied it over, but nope, didn't do it.
Oh my God, Kaiser Neko just made a post that just made me giggle very hard. Frieza wiped out the entire Saiyan race. Washington Post fact check. Frieza only blew up the Saiyan homeworld, and several Saiyans were still alive after the explosion.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh my god.
Because that was like, no, it wasn't them that did the fact check. Like the Snopes did the fact check on his, like, oh, he didn't say that Nazis were very fine people. No, technically he said there were very fine people on both sides. But one side was Nazis.
Happens to be the Nazis.
So like, yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Hey Growly, are you okay?
Okay.
Are you good?
I also did not pack the end credits stream, so it's going to end abruptly.
It's just gonna cut off?
Well, I'm gonna send it to the standby thing, but yeah, you can take your dog out, and I will message my partner to let her know that she can bring the kids to bed. Just for Lord of Fools says, as someone who drives for a living, I appreciate your pedantry. Yeah, no, that's the thing, because I listen to most of my, well, used to when I worked far away from home. You listen to most of your podcasts while you're driving. So if like somebody does something weird in the intros and you've already set it up to skip it, then it can be difficult to
give me this paper towel.
Figure out what's going on.
What are you doing? That's not your paper towel.
All right. Thanks for joining me. So from Mexico, signing off, as always, fuck off.
Hey, just wanted to give a quick thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who help keep me afloat and help keep this channel going. YouTube and Twitch are wonderful platforms, but at the end of the day, stability is not one of their strong suits. If you want to support my channel, then obviously Patreon is one of the best ways of doing that. Link is in the description. But I do want to personally thank everybody who has contributed to the channel. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Autumn and Angel, Nixie Chan, Mark Anthony, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. And everyone else who supports my channel and lets me do what I do full-time. This is a dream job of mine that I never believed that I would be able to take full-time, and with your help, I've been able to do it. So thank you so very much for that. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all are having a wonderful time. I will see you all in the next one, hopefully.